WEAF, New York.
Perhaps the most prized possession of Niccolo Paganini, the prince of violinists, was the Guarneri violin. This famous violin was given to him by a French merchant at Leghorn, when the artist, having pawned his own instrument, arrived without one to fill a concert engagement. And though often reduced to penury, he never could be persuaded to sell or pawn this gift. This afternoon, the National Broadcasting Company takes pleasure in bringing to you in an exclusive shortwave broadcast from Genoa, Italy, the first broadcast of a recital on this famous instrument. Professor Giulio Bignami, professor of the Cherubini Conservatory at Florence, will play two of Paganini's most brilliant compositions, Le Streghe and Moto Perpetuo. We take you now to Genoa, Italy.
Hello, America. Hello, NBC. Hello, NBC. Italy is calling, and your speaker is Max Jordan of the National Broadcasting Company. This broadcast comes to you from Genoa. Genoa the superb. Many of you who have traveled to Italy before may have put up at this port and rambling about the picturesque narrow streets, along the lanes on the seashores, or climbing the stairways uphill to the world-famous Campo Santo, may have admired the architectural magnificence of this historical city, perched on the slopes of the Ligurian Alps, and especially the old palaces of patrician families. In one of these palaces we have now gathered, in the 16th century municipal palace. It is here that the city of Genoa keeps one of her most precious possessions, Paganini's own violin. You all know of him, of Niccolo Paganini, the most extraordinary of our violin wizards, who was born here 153 years ago and first appeared in public in this very city as a 9-year-old prodigy. Since that tender age and up to his death, at the age of 56, he scored one triumphant success after another, often moving his audiences all over Europe to tears. No other violinist in the history of music ever eclipsed him in fame. And now the immortal Paganini's own instrument, his Guarneri, will be presented on the air for the first time. It was almost exactly 100 years ago, on April 27, 1837, that he donated the instrument to the city of Genoa in his last will. At the request of the NBC, the Genoa municipality has kindly consented that the violin be taken out of its sealed glass enclosure where it has been resting for almost a century, like in a shrine. In the presence of a notary, the violin was taken out of the glass enclosure a little while ago. On behalf of the American radio audience, we of the NBC want to express our sincere appreciation to the EIA, Italian Broadcasting Company, for having completed all these arrangements so efficiently. But now for the program. You will hear two of Paganini's own compositions, the Streghe and the Moto Perpetuo, which are among those so difficult that Paganini alone was able to play them at his time. But Professor Giulio Bignami of the Cherubini Conservatory of Music in Florence, who for many years has been specializing in Paganini research, will master the task on the very strings on which Paganini himself used to practice single passages for 10 hours at a time, frequently achieving matchless performances on the fourth string alone. At the piano today, we have Signor Sandra Fuga of Turin, and as I said, Paganini's Streghe is our first number. next number is Perpetuo Mobile. This concludes the broadcast arranged by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with EIA, the Italian Broadcasting System, from the Municipal Palace at Genoa, Italy. Professor Giulio Bignami played Paganini's Enchanted Violin, which is kept here as one of Italy's most valued possessions. Signor Sandra Fuga was at the piano. This was the first time the famous instrument was presented on the air. Your announcer was Max Jordan. Please write to your station whether you enjoyed this program. It is now 7:45 in the evening over here, and it is time for us to return you to America.
Thank you, Dr. Jordan, for introducing that splendid program. And the thanks of American listeners go also to Professor Giulio Bignami of the Cherubini Conservatory at Florence, Italy, who has played for our first broadcast, the first broadcast anywhere, of a recital on the famous Guarneri, the violin which was the most prized possession of Niccolo Paganini. The selections played were Le Streghe and Moto Perpetuo, both by Paganini. An exclusive shortwave broadcast, this was a Red Network presentation of the National Broadcasting Company and was heard in America via RCA Communications.
you.